Running the race.
Running the race.
Yeah, exactly.
Great.
Yeah.
So before I show my complete lack of knowledge,
That's not a problem.
over to you, Jonah.
It's like run the Frisbee. So, to be fair, this is the most running I've done, as you can tell, in a long time. So it was very good. Enjoyed it. So I got an email asking to talk on the theme run the race, and I think after watching all you guys run around, it's been great to see our levels of fitness and our levels of camaraderie and all of the stuff that enables us to be who we are. And what I like is that there's a lot of laughter, a lot of enjoyment, and realistically that's what life's about. It's about having laughter, it's about having enjoyment, but also we're in a part of something, a bigger picture than just us and who we are. So everybody one day would love to be able to sit down with I know this is going to sound strange to you guys at the moment, but one day everyone wants to sit down with their kids and their grandkids and tell stories. Remember when you sit with your grandparents and they go, I remember during the war, or I remember when this happened and stuff. And when you're younger, you don't really think a lot of it because you just want to go out and do stuff. But as you get older, you start to realise about the stories that you accumulate on your journey, on the race that you run. Now, maybe you guys are single, maybe some of you are dating, but one of the things is that as we continue our journey, we end up wanting to find someone who we spend the rest of our life with. And part of that is actually doing the journey together, but also telling people the story, the journey that you've been on. So my question today is, what story do you want to tell? What story do you want to pass on to your grandkids? What story do you want to be proud about? See, in every life we have crises, as we're living in one right now in a pandemic, but we also have opportunity to come and play Frisbee this evening, and we also have temptation. And all of these things mean something, but when we go past the crisis, past the opportunity, past the temptation, we look at it in the rearview mirror and we look and see, how did I get through that? What were the choices I made that got me, first of all, in that situation? And what were the decisions and choices that I made to get out of that situation? See, every decision you make in your life, it adds to your story. It adds to the race that you're running. I love the example that when we're born, we're given a blank canvas, or better still, a book with all the pages white with just lines and stuff that we can draw and write in, but it's blank when we're given it. Now, I've lived long enough, and I imagine you guys have lived long enough that there's been times in your lives where I'd like to rub a chapter out of my life, where I've made a bad decision, or I've taken a wrong turn, or just done something that was just silly. I know I have, and there's been times where I think, you know what, if I could have my time again, I would like to do this. But we know that in the decisions in the past can't be changed. But the decisions that we make today are decisions that lead us into our future. See, the worst thing you can do is live with regret, because regret draws you back into the past. See, the Apostle Paul, he said, "Friends, I do not consider myself yet to take hold of it, but one thing I do, forgetting what is behind and straining toward what is ahead, I press on toward the goal, to win the prize for which God has called me heavenward in Christ Jesus." Now, who watched the Olympics this last summer? There was loads of different events on that was so good. Even the football was on. But everybody competed, everybody played because they wanted to win something. They wanted to win the prize. And each and every one of us compete in this thing that we call life to win a prize. Now, it's not monetary. Sometimes you can get a bit of food or whatever, but it's not all about that. It's about what Paul said, where is our calling? Where are we going? Paul was a man who was a murderer. He put people in jail for their beliefs in Jesus until he had a supernatural conversion. So he understands what it's like to live with regret and to look backwards. And here he's saying, be like those 100-meter runners or the marathon runner. When they get to the edge of the rope, the line, they break through. Their necks stretching forward and forgetting what is behind them. Because that's already gone. You ever heard that thing where it says, just because you were born there doesn't mean you have to live there. Just because you've made a decision that this has been wrong in the past doesn't mean that has to define who you are. You define who you are. So from today, run a race that's worth running. Write a story that's worth telling. Write a story that you're proud to tell. See, our lives are like a race. There will be challenges. No amount of people saying life's great when you become a Christian. That's not true. But what is true is that you don't go through them alone. Every challenge that you have somebody who becomes alongside you. And we know that is Jesus. So every day we make decisions. Every day we have choices to make. Even getting up in the morning and asking what breakfast am I going to have breakfast. They're all decisions and choices. Some of them have no big value on the day. But you know, if you haven't had breakfast and you come and play Frisbee, you wish you had breakfast because the amount of stuff that you've had to burn to run around. But some of the choices we make can become permanent decisions in our lives. But what do we want to be as a permanent story for our life? What race are we running? Remember the book that we're given when you're born. Do you know who writes in that book? It's us. Nobody else writes in your book. You can be influenced by other people, but you are the person who writes in it. You are the person who writes your story. And just like when you go to the library, it's really good because coming to a uni, I would never have gone to a library. But now you've got the library. And when you borrow a book, you have to return it. Otherwise you get fined a lot. Ask Sophie, she owes a lot of money. But the book that you have to return is the book of your life. See, God gives us our life as a gift. And he gives us the book to write in. And he says, you know what, go and fill that. Give me something to read. Because when we die, eventually, we hand that book back. Whereas in the library, the book you're taking out's already got stories and graphs and history. But the book you write is just your story. In the bigger picture of history, or dare I say, the bigger picture of his story. Because we are part of God's story on this earth as well. I wanted to say to you that your choices matter. The decisions you make, they count. But the decisions you have made in the past, whether they're good or bad, have led you to this point today. But the decisions that you make from this point, going forward, will define who you are in your destiny. So I asked the question at the beginning, and the question still stands. What story do you want to tell? What race do you want to run? And is it a race worth running? Thank you.